Hey gamers, it's Gaming with the Guys. I'm Gaming Greg, and we are back tonight. Last few weeks we've been doing really good. We've been doing battle reports and everything else, and then we've kind of hit a road bump, which means we get to talk to you about things that have been going on in the gaming world. It's been an exciting couple of weeks with Gen Con and other things happening, so we believe we have a bunch to talk about. You may have heard about some of the things, you may not have heard about any of the things, but you're going to learn about them tonight. And to help me with this fabulous endeavor is my partner in crime, the fabulous pixelated gaming Jason.
Not that pixelated. I'm just in the back. It's just the background, so we don't get copyright struck.
You're in the Matrix. That's
true.
Yeah. Yes, we don't. We already got enough trouble with the mouse last week with our battle report. We don't need to get into more trouble.
Wait, what happened with which mouse? What did Disney What did Disney slap us
Nothing. We were talking about it in there. You obviously have your defeat last week to the hands of the mighty Imperials.
No. Let's recorrect that to the mighty Mako. That's who was That was who was strong. The Imperials didn't do anything. Mako did it all.
Speaking of masters of crit strike, you know who we need to have on to talk about crit strike, because they are the ultimate crit strike master.
True.
The Dr. Dice.
I'm gonna pop your head off.
Yeah, he got that from you. He felt the power last week.
I did feel the power of the crit strike and its seductive allure. Especially when I have a figure that's weak and I roll shit for damage.
Look,
when you roll as many 1s and 2s for damage, the chance that you're gonna roll doubles on 3 dice, cha-ching, baby. Cha-ching.
It only made me feel slightly better that Mako, with all his rerolls, pitched a bunch of 1s again. So
at least true. That's how he ended up dying.
That's how I killed him. Was that he rolled a bunch of 1s? Oh, I'm gonna reroll more 1s.
6 freaking dice. I roll 3 6s in attack, 3 1s in defense. I reroll 2 of the 1s and get 2 more 1s. That's how Mako died. If he's going to go out, that's the way to go out.
I mean, he took 2 models already at that point, so it didn't really matter.
He had made his rice cost up. I was going for that 3rd.
That's the most gaming Greg way to die ever.
That is. It really is. So, gentlemen, it's good to have you all with us. Grandmaster Cody is unfortunately not able to join us tonight. He is busy doing Grandmastery things. Or
like painting our shit.
Well, that too.
Eventually, when we trade him up, when we trade up.
What I buy the spider box, the Awoken box, and have him not like his paint job, and then I'm like, oh, I'll take those from you.
And there we go, we trade.
And ta-da, a fully painted spider set. Hooray for me! Before we start talking about some of the major topics that we've already pre-discussed. Kind of, not really. What has everybody been doing? We're going to start with Gaming Jason because his life is tremendously less exciting than us.
Wow, that's lame. Well, I did actually finally start painting. So I have Hoopoe with his 2 lanterns done.
And
I mean, that's as far as I got. I had the moment of inspiration to paint when I had the day off for a doctor's appointment and other stuff. So I got most of that stuff painted. I based a Hoopoe. I got some prep work started on him. So I actually did paint instead of waiting for like Adepticon. Beyond that, they had a pop-up Gundam event at a hobby town that was like 45 minutes, an hour away from here. Didn't get to go into the exclusive store because bureaucracy. I'll say bureaucracy. But I did end up picking up I did pick up a box of like 5 or 6 like mini super deforms that just look kind of interesting. So I've been kind of I pieced one of those together and looking at it's like, oh damn, well now I actually feel like I have to paint these to make them look somewhat
Then you're
better.
gonna have to do the lines on them, and you get
Might
the
be
little
fine doing the lines,
pens.
but like really like these actually like need paint on them to actually make them look good. If it was just like just doing the lines and everything like that, that wouldn't be too bad. But like I might actually need like paint.
Okay, all right. And then gaming wise, I know you haven't been at the game. We haven't been at the game store that much. We just got that. You and me just got the one game in the last few weeks of Bushido.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to watch that, check the link below. It's a fabulous battle report of Imperials versus
Tanaka's.
Shiho Tanakas, Shiho Wolves. It's entertaining to say the least.
Oh yeah.
You pointed at your crotch when you said it's the links below.
No, that's because I'm going to put a link in the video. I'm going to put a link in the video.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's
that's okay. I thought it was your OnlyFans. I thought you were going for Olympic medals. I had no idea.
I think the next time I win, I'm going to twerk, though, potentially. I don't know. I don't know if everybody's ready for that. I
think you'll throw your back out.
Well,
I probably would.
You win and everybody wins. That's great. That's the way.
So before I spit up my soda, Dr. Dice, you probably have had the most fun gaming wise the last 2-3 weeks. What have you been up to?
Well, yeah, I went to Gen Con. It was out of control. Fantastic crowds. We'll talk all about that later.
Mm-hmm.
During the course of that grand event, I got in a couple of role play sessions, which is something I hadn't done in quite some time. Excellent. I picked up a lot of toys, which we'll talk about. As we know that it's not a mini con, right? I mean, they have some.
Not exclusively, no.
Yeah. So I also bought a lot of board and card games, demo a lot of those kind of things as well. Picked up a new TCG. And then, of course, here on the home front, it's been assembling and building things for Fallout Factions, including all of the Cult of the Mothmen, because those are kind of cool. And then the new spiders for Bushdio, which we'll talk about. And then also Spearhead from Games Workshop. It's part of the new Age of Sigmar Skaven Tide box set. I didn't really care about either of the two halves of that set, but I really wanted the rule book that came with that box set, as well as the terrain and the cards and the game board, so I could play that. So I kind of sourced those separately at a pretty decent savings on everybody's favorite auction site. And so this way, now all I have to do is pick up a Spearhead box, and I'm good to go with that too. So I'm sure I'll find a couple of takers for that as well.
A couple of chumps, I was going to say.
Hey, I will continue to. You know what's going to happen here? Okay, you're going to get roofing. You're going to be sitting there. You're going to get roofing.
Wow.
You're going to get roofing. You're going to wake up and
I'm suddenly gonna like playing all GW games.
No, well, yeah, it's like a subtle hypnotism. It's like it's like a Clockwork Orange, right? I was gonna
peel my eyes back and put some eye drops on them.
That's right. Right. Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got my 2 GW games that I'll play, and we'll probably talk at least about one of them tonight. So yeah, so like I said, you had quite the jaunt of 71,000 people, record-breaking crowds at Gen Con. So that's always fun. Mm-hmm. Me and Gaming Jason thought about going just specifically so we could tape things and show everybody what the Gen Con was, and maybe talk to some people in the booths and get some spoilers and whatnot. We dragged our feet, and it was sold out, even on a Sunday. Well, that saved me 8 hours of driving to go and 8 hours of driving to spend 3 hours potentially in the exhibit hall while all the exhibitors like, oh, I'm dead, because I've done shows not as crowded as that, but I've had the same experience with my job, and that last day you're just like, oh, just kill me. But I just want this to be over.
On the flip side of that, sleep deprivation is a technique that's often used by interrogators in order to get people to talk. So I think they could have been a little bit looser of the lips by Sunday, because everybody's kind of
well, yeah, they get that way. And what the trick is, and see, this is the part that a lot of the convention people don't know too much. And again, just I've done conventions for 20 something years. The setup there and the teardown are absolute hell, because when you were down there the first day, so the Tuesday and the Wednesday, that's when they're
Yeah.
doing a majority of the setup.
Yeah.
What was the weather like in Indianapolis?
The weather was a little on the warm side, wasn't bad, but I know for a fact that it was very warm in that convention center.
Because they don't have the air conditioning on in the exhibit hall, because they have all the loading dock doors open, 13 of them. And as somebody pointed out, if they had the air conditioning on, there would be a monsoon-like rain going on in that room.
Yep.
In the exhibit hall. And I've done that when I was down in Orlando. Orlando, granted, it was March. Orlando with no air conditioning on sucks. So they got to look forward to no air conditioning at the end of the con and no air conditioning at the beginning of the con, setting up and tearing down booth. That sucks. So kudos to them for doing that. But yeah, Sunday, maybe next year we'll go to Gen Con. I keep saying that every year, but probably not.
Well, it is my intention to either get a press pass or VIG next year, so we'll see how that rolls.
That's cool. My sites right now are on DragonFall for hosting the Bushdio event for DragonFall. That'll be on that Sunday. I'll post some links to that so we get some players for it. And then there's other local cons in the fall that I'm looking forward to. We go to this one Grungy Con. It's not called Grungy Con. If I was going to run a con, it might be called Grungy Con. But it's this con. It's mostly historical. It's out in Rockford, Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Rock Con. Oh,
I am bringing my own ring light this year. Okay,
it's in this dark. It's in a moose. Was it a moose lodge? No, it's the Shriners.
It's like a Shriner. It's a Shriners or a Moose Lodge.
It's a Shriners or a Moose Lodge. You go into the main room, and I think they purposefully. I mean, I'm pretty sure the lights could get brighter in there, but for some reason, old dudes like me apparently like mood lighting and having it really dim.
No, they're like older than you, dude.
Like glaucoma or something? I don't
know. All I know is it's a fun little con. I may do that, and then gear up for Adepticon in Milwaukee. So unless I find another con sometime in the fall to go to, I might be able to slot 3 of them in there. We'll see.
I'm trying to think of what other cons going on besides Nova. And then
Nova's coming up at Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yeah. And then what, Warfare Weekend or Wayfair Weekend?
Wayfair Weekend would be around the same time as RockCon.
Oh, okay.
What's the other one down in Bloomington, Illinois?
I'm dragging your ass to Gamehole Con.
Gamehole Con.
When's that?
Gamehole is mostly rural RPGs.
No, I know that. We went to Gamehole Con. I just trying to remember.
I'm dragging you up there. Very good question.
We'll have to figure that out. I think is it sometime in October?
I want to say it's October. It's like right before like the holiday season where it's in November.
Yeah, hey, I got a computer. I could find out.
I'm getting the date right now. October 17 to 20 at the Align Energy Center in Madison. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, maybe I may have to check out that and do that. Yeah, we went the 1 year and we did a few role play things there. They don't have a whole lot of miniatures, but I think I might be able to convince some of the Madison guys to run some miniature events that I want to play in.
Yeah. Well, they have that room for minis, and I'll probably drag you into a True Dungeon run.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I've always, even when I saw True Dungeon, back like in 2011 or 2012 when they
first started doing it at Gen Con.
That was like, that looks so cool. I want to do. Just never went to Gen Con to actually try to participate.
and what's funny is I always wanted to do True Dungeon, but the 1 year they had True Dungeon, and then they had something else going on, which was more of a superhero sci-fi version of True Dungeon. They have never done it since, but that looked freaking cool. So, but yeah, no, True Dungeon I'm always looking forward to. To kind of move things along, what have I been doing gaming-wise, hobby-wise? Well, hobby-wise, if playing computer games is considered a hobbying, then I've been doing that a lot. Unfortunately, it's just been replaying it's a GW game, Chaos Gate. No, Chaos Gate. It's like XCOM, but with Grey Knights.
Oh, okay. So that's like the Space Marine version of it too, because they had one that was like a long time ago. It was like
Space Marine's a shooter.
Well, Space Marine's a shooter, but they had a similar XCOM type thing that was like that was similar.
It may be the same thing. It may be
Maybe
the
they
same
just maybe
thing.
had DLC for Grey Knights because I
Yeah,
remember it was just like your Ultramarines to begin
when I
with.
went and looked at it, there was some DLC that I downloaded so I could play because it allowed you to take Imperial agents like the Assassin, and then they added more baddies and things like that. So yeah, I played that through and beat it. So I'm a happy little camper there. So that got that out of my system. But then in the meantime, from gaming wise, I've been playing a lot of Bushido. Me and Dr. Dice played some Western miniature games, Dead by Lead. That was fun. Hopefully, we'll get a few more of those games in. I like that. It plays really quick. I like it. That you get the rules out of that from the Blaster magazine. What else? We did Warcrow.
Little
Getting
bit.
heavy into Warcrow. We played some Fallout. That's going to be coming to the channel soon because that's a fun game also. Fallout. What else? No, that was about it. So Warcrow. We did a lot of Warcrow because between taping it and then practicing, so that way we could kind of smooth out some of the campaign issues. The rules we thankfully one of the people did comment on our last video and they pointed out like three things rule wise that we kind of needed to that we missed. Nothing was terribly earth shattering, but definitely things that we'll have to keep our eyes open for at a later time. um but it was trying to hammer out those scenario rules because again, the little mini campaign is loads of fun, stringing along the adventures and having all the rest of it. um but trying to sort out everything,
There's a lot going on, man.
they should have done it as a flow chart.
Honestly, yeah. Now I did make an Excel spreadsheet on the way to Gen Con. That basically was like kind of a if this then that, and this is when you get that token and whatever.
Yeah,
Well, that next
yeah,
time we play through it, we'll have it just kind of at a glance, and maybe if we feel like it, we can always just share it.
yeah.
As a link to our viewers, kind of as a little spiff for them,
Mhm.
because people are going to be picking up that game. It's really
It's
good. So
it's a fun game, and as they add more miniatures to it, it's gonna be nice. I've been watching a lot of the media on it and whatnot, and you know what? We'll talk about that here in just a second. So, that was my gaming wise. Again, have been going to the Wednesday night game as much as I'd like to. I got in a session of D&D with my Saturday night group at least once. Was hoping to get that a little more, but I just haven't been able to. With summer coming to an end, doing family stuff and whatnot, just life. Hobby wise, though, even though computer games were dominating it, mostly because I was staring at miniatures that I wasn't sure how to paint. I mean, let me ask you guys: when you get a miniature, I want to paint it. I know I do, and once I'm done painting, I'm like, why did it take me forever to do it? But when it's just got that primer on it, I'm looking at it and going, what the hell do I want to do with this thing? Look at all this detail. How the hell am I going to tackle this? And that creates such a roadblock for me to paint. I mean, I had 3 Ito figures out. Yankee, Ito Mamushi, and the new archer, the new snake archer. Um, I had all 3 of those and primed and ready to go for at least a month and a half. And just I wasn't sure how I want to paint it. Oh, I'm gonna paint some of these cowboy guys. Oh, I'm gonna paint some of this. I'm gonna paint some of that. As much as I could do to avoid it, till finally I said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna paint."
procrastinating some bitch.
Oh, I am the master of procrastination.
Whoa! That's me because I
No,
usually
you
only end
have
up
you
doing it
have
till next
reasons
Epicon.
to. You have no real good place to paint, and you have a small
Well,
child.
that's also true. Yeah, and we tried the don't touch the paint, and he kind of figured that out for about 30 seconds before he went back for it again. And like, all right, well, I got to put everything away again.
Yeah, we just got to get him his own paint miniatures to paint, and then he could just sit there and slop paint all over it, and we won't care.
Yeah, I'm
There's
gonna
a
need
whole
a
video
tarp.
series waiting to happen.
I'm gonna need a tarp too, because he'll just probably start putting his fingers in the paint, start trying to finger paint on paper or on the
Yeah,
tarp.
that works. So we just got to get him cheap paint too.
Yeah,
That can wash off the miniatures that we're giving him to paint.
more like wash off his skin. Otherwise, he'll be tatted up at 2.
There you go. Sweet. Super sweet.
Sweet.
So yeah, I did finally get 3 Bushido figures painted. I did get Mamushi painted. I did get the new Snake Archer Saganaki or whatever his name is, and Yankee. So can't wait to get those out on the table. Now I just got to find the snakes so the Snake Archer can shoot snakes
No.
downfield and do
You don't need
things.
those.
I do need those. Um, and then I also got my Kickstarter from Moonstone.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh,
I gotta put all that together and then figure out when to paint that. So and then Blood and Plunder. I was trying to get into the Summer of Plunder. Yeah, that didn't happen. I got a lot of Blood and Plunder to assemble. But I did put together another Blood Bowl team.
What else did you buy?
I just bought one team. It was 50% off. And then
Oh, so
and then I learned why it was 50% off, because the team that was in the box, they changed the rules for what you could have in the team. And so they gave me one too many dwarves and not as many humans as I needed. However, because I had the Dungeon Blitz that I bought at an auction years ago, that had extra figures for the human team that I'm playing, and had extra human linemen. So now I have all the human linemen that I need. Yay!
oh, that works. I thought you got elves, or you got wood
I
elves
did. I got the
together.
wood elves, and I actually have that all painted
Oh, nice. So why did you buy the humans then?
because I
Why
wanted
not?
something different. They play different. It's an amalgamation of humans, dwarves, and halflings.
Okay.
I haven't assembled any of the halflings because Lord knows when I'm actually going to be using them, but I have them.
We
Should
have
I
to
want
really induct you into the cult of everything, man.
No,
The cult of everything. You buy everything.
no. Yeah,
He
well,
who dies with the most stuff wins.
if the cult pays well, then I'll do that. But the cult so far has not paid anything.
I've taken a job I've hated for 30 years just so I can buy more crap.
I don't hate my job. Well, I have days where my job is challenging, but my job just doesn't pay well. So there's that. And then children, wife, grandchildren.
You're supposed to, for every two that you have to sell one. That's the way that works.
Yeah, I
Kids,
haven't gotten to
I mean,
that yet.
yeah.
I haven't gotten to that yet. All right,
It's
so
way.
that's what Gaming Greg has been up to. So if I had to give myself if I have a scale of productivity from lazy bastard to I don't even know who a productive member of
Productive
society
Marty.
is. Productive Marty, where would I fall? Probably right dead down the middle. Slack and slave, wage slave, slack and wage slave. That's probably where I fall. That's where I fall. All right. So let's so where do we want to start? We probably want to start just, you know what, Dr. Dice, you have the floor because you attended Gen Con. You were actually the man there. You sent us pictures. You sent us a picture of a smiling Jason Enos, a picture of a sleeping Jason Enos, and everything in between. So
is that the link to his OnlyFans?
in So if you could give us the quick overview of what your Gen Con was like, and then we could talk specific game stuff.
Cool. Here's the quick 411. So it was probably one of the better Gen Cons I have ever been to. Massive attendance, but they did a much better job this year of managing the promos and all of the things like that. D&D 50th anniversary was this Gen Con, right? So this was the one of the big Gen Cons for that. They did a pre-release of the new Player's Handbook, which was 750 day buy ticket only. But the way they did it was essentially the same way would certain theme parks do it, where you have to go on first thing in the morning at a set time, and you submit to see whether or not you're one of the lucky recipients of the ability to purchase the event or activity or whatever. Buddy of mine didn't get it. I went then stood in the line for the Running of the Nerds. It appeared somebody might have dropped the ticket out of their wish list because I was just putzing around waiting for the doors to open. I snagged it right up. So I was able to get a buddy a copy of the book. The book looked actually quite good. I can't wait to get my hands on my own version, probably at a discount at some point in the not too distant future.
Very nice.
That was that. In addition to that, all of the vendors in the hall. There were so many vendors this year, I really could not visit all of them, which is a great problem to have. Did a lot of walking through, and we saw the new spiders from GCT. Got to talk to GCT a little bit there. Arguably, their stock was a little bit smaller than it usually is for Decepticon because, well, quite frankly, again, we talked about this. Gen Con is not a minis show, right? I mean,
No.
Modifius had some great stuff at their booth. What they had was not only did they have Fallout faction demos going on, which I ended up actually teaching one of them because a couple of our local guys were at the table sitting down learning the game, and I noticed that the demo team member kind of wasn't doing exactly the rule correctly, and I wanted to make sure that our guys, pedantic as it sounds, got it right, because when I'm playing against them, I don't want to have the wrong thing ingrained in their head. So I decided I would just take over the demo. I mean, I didn't really make that decision, but that just kind of happened. So I started giving the demo at that point, to which the Modifius people were kind of sitting back there talking. I want to say it was April, who is one of their community managers. I think she had suggested that somebody get me a blue shirt at that point. So that was that. They also released Star Trek Second Edition, which
Role
is
play,
which is very, very good. We can talk a little bit about that experience later if you'd like. And then going down the aisles, I'm going to tell you there were a lot of great board games, a lot of great card games. The Sorcery TCG, the second set for that is going to be coming out. They're kind of a smaller niche TCG, but very good. And then Asmodee, as always, had quite a few good games there. One being a board game called River of Gold, which is based on L5R. Another one that is Mandalorian Adventures, which is kind of based on the Mandalorian TV show, which is really neat, and has little standees, whatever. And then, of course, the other thing that Asmodee had this year was the card game called Altered. Altered is a Kickstarter card game that came out of a company called Equinox in France. It is an inclusive card game, and what I mean by that is there really isn't a big take that mechanic, and it's not about killing your opponent or even battling your opponent. It's about you have a companion, and you're playing as a hero, and you're trying to get across this land so that your hero and your companion can meet somewhere in the middle, right? So it's actually there is some tension between the players, but it's more about preventing them from doing what they want to do while you're doing what you want to do, and it's not actual direct conflict, which is really nice.
Will they, won't they?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And then, of course, we had Warcrow, right? Corvus Belli was there.
You sat in on the big seminar.
I did. That was a fantastic event. Was able to speak with Carlos, who's in charge of Corvus Belli a little bit. And at the end of that, I was able to get a really cool exclusive Hak Islam figure. They're coming out with an
anime.
Cool looking anime. They're just waiting for some venue to pick it up so that they can broadcast it. I'm gonna recommend people not just check that out, but take a look at the trailer. And if you are a fan of this channel or just a fan of cool anime in general, I would say go ahead, make sure you, whatever platform you're on, retweet it, whatever, because they are needing evidence to be able to go to these various studios to get a little leverage. So the more we can help them, the more we can help make that a reality. And it does look like it's going to be very cool. And it's going to really tie into getting people involved in Corvus Belli products. So I think, look, I wanted to play Infinity after watching it. I'll tell you that.
And I got a lot of Infinity. And that was the other big thing, too, coming up was they've just announced that in November, or is it October? I think it's November.
N5?
They're releasing N5, the next edition of Infinity, which I haven't heard. I haven't been browsing that one quite as much, just because.
I just remember the summer that Dr. Dice sent us, where it's like Eugene benched, other popular faction benched, JSA back in. So I'm like, oh sweet. So when my JSA got benched like 10 years ago, it's all good. I still have it.
It's interesting the way they're doing the story, right? It's advancing the storyline 5 years, and essentially the JSA it's going to split off from Eugene entirely. It's no longer sectoral. They're splitting it off entirely, and they're going to come out with a bunch of cool units for it. It looks like it's going to be excellent. The figure quality looks absolutely gorgeous based on the renders. So I can't wait to see what that's going to be. I won't be buying it because I've got a lot of the Bushdio kind of figures, and this is a space Bushdio. Because just the look, right? The look, the samurai, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. That's like saying, I'm not, not getting Pano because you don't want
Space Marines.
anime Space Marines, because all the Templars.
That's exactly why I
all the
didn't get
Hospitals-
Tano, but okay.
That's exactly why you did.
Why I didn't. That's exactly
Yeah,
why I
no,
didn't.
that's what I was saying. It makes
I
sense.
went Hak Islam because I wanted bikers. I wanted a bunch, and then it wasn't until I bought all of the Coon bikers, Rule of Cool, right? And then it was, oh, by the way, you can't use all of these in an army. I'm like,
Oof.
That's
that's
if
all
you
right.
follow their rules and play that way. All right. So overall, you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. You also stopped by Catalyst and got some intel on Leviathans.
How I could forget Catalyst. First of all,
How could you
Catalyst
forget
is
Catalyst? They're celebrating
Catalyst
a thing
has
too.
been kind of they've been my lifeline for Gen Con over the last couple of years. I absolutely could not go to Gen Con without them. So I owe them greatly. But that will not at all color what I'm about to say. The Leviathan stuff looks fantastic. I am really looking forward to it. The ships look really good. The ones that they had in the display case look absolutely gorgeous. And there's a very cool fort that they're going to be coming out with. Right now, I think they're trying to figure out exactly how the production on that's going to be, but it looked really, really good.
Mhm.
They had some of the campaign stuff ready to go. So honestly, I think we're the last leg of this thing, people. I think we're going to be getting our Leviathan stuff sooner rather than later. And we're going to have that thing on the table, which means that we better get factions in the can pretty quickly here, because there's another game we're going to be playing pretty soon too. So.
That's going to end up on there. And what's really cool, and I'm looking forward to with doing some taping Leviathans for the channel, doing some battle reports, is they have a lot of campaign stuff for it.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm really I'm looking forward to having that on the channel, just because I think doing this after having done the Warcrow campaign thing, it's made me rethink doing battle reports and putting a story in with it and stuff like that. Because I know we've talked about doing Blood Bowl and having our little 4-man Blood Bowl league and kind of setting it up like an experience like that. So we have some things that we have in mind, and we'll probably be discussing that more amongst ourselves. But Leviathans, I love the first edition of the game. I didn't get to play it enough because I was a poor person and didn't buy the big box set when I could have. And then when they started fire selling the big box set and the little add-ons, I just didn't jump on it, and so I just didn't, which I regret, because it's a really, really cool game, and I enjoy it. Plus, I kind of like that whole steampunk feel. So yeah, there's that. So overall, you had a good Gen Con experience.
This was an amazing Gen Con experience. It was so well done. It was so, and I think part of it also was my expectations were adjusted, right? I had a real epiphany, which was the whole, I can't keep doing Gen Con chasing the latest hotness and the promos.
Right.
I'm going to go. I'm going to play whatever games I'm going to play. I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to enjoy myself. If I happen to get the latest hotness, great. For example, Star Wars Unlimited had a 5-card, I think it was a 5-card set. It was $100 exclusive, and there was some special treatments and whatever about it. Thing was, there were only like 100 per day that were available. And
the unlimited card, I heard from some people in our local group, that left a very sour taste in their mouth, because I think a lot of people got the card. There were no cards left because it mainly went to influencers of that even before the con started.
No, that wasn't at all my impression.
Okay, that might just be the one of the guys in our D&D group was talking about that, and it might have been for a different exclusive. Yeah.
No, I mean, here's the thing. He may or may not be wrong. All I know is, from my experience, they had that number of per day. They had that specific number that were available.
Right.
And when you went in, part of their ticketing system, and of course it's a work in progress, like all things are. But when you go in, you have to make sure that is already in your wish list and not in your cart, because you can't have it in your cart right then. It's going to process all the wish lists before it does the carts. And so, you had to add it to you had to have it in your wish list, submit that wish list, boom, it goes ahead, it adds to your cart, and then you go ahead and submit that, and you can buy it. And it's quick. But anyway,
yeah,
just a thing.
That's like, all right, cool.
Get the air horn.
All right. All right. So let's talk. Before we get rolling, let's talk Warcrow. Because that's that they have the big presentation of that. We've just done 3 videos on it. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So first impressions of Warcrow. I'll you know what, I'll start with you, Dr. Dice, and then I'll kind of chime in as quickly as I can with my thoughts on it. So after having played it, after having gone to the seminar and seeing what's coming down the pipe, what do you think about Warcrow? How are we feeling about it?
I'm excited for the future of the game. I'm not particularly crazy about the release schedule and the release model that this game is using. I was never a huge fan of the 2-player starter set and then the Beyond box. That was never, they do that for Infinity. It's just not really the way that I prefer to buy games, mostly because I may or may not want to play both factions.
Sure.
And I don't know that the other person that I can find someone necessarily who's going to want to split the box with me, right?
Sure.
So it feels like I'm buying a lot more than I really need.
I think they probably do offer a SKU thing though at this point, because Infinity is notorious for having. I mean, even at the local game store at GwtG, like
too many SKUs.
All those SKUs that are there.
Right. Well, but it's going to end up happening anyway. Like that's totally going to happen anyway. You're going to get SKU bloat no matter what you do, because even with the Beyond box, there's intentions of releasing a hegemony unit of the Bucklerman, just separate. Right? They're going to.
But is it just going to be just the Bucklerman, or is it going to be individual blisters of Bucklerman? See, I could see them doing that. I know they're going to do that because they're going to break up that box. But the other thing it could be done, and this is something that, and it's funny, it's because it's a guy who's done it for Infinity, and I could see it being something that local game stores could do for their customers. Is they'll buy that Beyond box.
Oh, sure.
No way, and then they'll break it. They'll break it up themselves. So that way, you do a split box. So they'll buy they'll buy 20 of them for people who are just going to buy both the box with everything together, and they'll save 10 for themselves or 5 for themselves, and they'll break those boxes up if they need to. And then if they don't sell out of the 20 or whatever, however many boxes they buy that are just regular boxes, and then do the what's the word I want to say? They get, if they have 20 boxes of to sell whole, they could break and they do 5 that they break up, and they find out they sold out of those 5, but they only sold half of the double boxes, and they could start breaking the other boxes up and sell them.
Well, I mean, they could,
but that's up for a local game store to do. That's not
but they will be coming out with, and unlike Infinity, right? This game is not going to be done by the blister. Right, because you don't buy individual dudes. You buy a unit. This is the unit.
Right? But some units are one figure.
Okay, I can see them doing a blister on a one figure unit. Okay,
yeah. So that's I mean, it's going to happen.
Okay,
it's going to happen.
No, you're right. You're right. But okay. All that said, now the next question is, what's the next faction? Right? Because the hegemony is out. We know it's there. We know what the hegemony aesthetic is. We know it's cool. And we know that Dr. Dice is going to own too much of it. When you're talking to the third person, hey, that's great. And then, of course, the orcs, like the variant and stuff like that. Yeah, those are coming out as well. And yeah, I'm going to buy all of those too, because the orcs are pretty awesome with this one. Plus, I need to repaint all of mine so that I'm kind of happier with the scheme. I got a Grandmaster Cody thing going on. But what's the next?
That's where it all starts.
Right? The next faction is probably the elves, the wood elves, right? That is my opinion. At the seminar, Carlos did a kind of show of hands, took like a vote. He's taking a P.T. Barnum, give the people what they want approach, I think. And in this particular instance, I think overwhelmingly everybody was like, yeah, give us the elves. Few of them look neat, sure. I don't need another human faction right now. Give those friggin' elves. And then I think
the dwarves.
The dwarves nobody cared about. I'm not going to be honest. There were like 3 people that cared.
I'll be honest with you. And so this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about things. So I'll just jump in real quick. So I was of the same mind on the dwarves, and I'm still aesthetically I'm kind of on the dwarves,
Right.
but I was listening in on an interview that was only from Zombie Sashimi, and he had I'm gonna butcher her name, Hoopie, Hoopoe,
Hoopoe.
Hoopoe. She was on, and they were only supposed to be on for like an hour. Instead, it went for like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Because if you think you and me could talk, Hoopoe could talk that much more.
Oh, she's fantastic. Yeah. I hope she comes next.
But skilled is she didn't give away anything about future things, but she did fill in some of the gaps about the history of it because I don't have the rule book with all the history in it. But what was interesting, and I have to agree with you, listening to her talk, it's probably going to be the CNN, the elves. And if you're trying to pronounce it, CNN is correct. She just said pronounce it just like the network CNN. CNN. Just say it quick, and that's pretty much the way to say it. And then, but when she talked about it, what I didn't realize, it sounds like the dwarves are not what you would. They're not your traditional powerhouse. What you would think of as a traditional dwarf faction. They're very magical. Dwarves have always been somewhat magical resistant. And they are coming out strong. So they've been kind of underground, but now they've decided to flex their muscles. And apparently they have a boatload of Orcallum. Lots of Orcallum armor, weapons, the whole 9 yards. And so they're coming out to kind of lay their claim to everything. The world of Lindworm in general seems to be at a nexus point, and so all hell's breaking loose all over the place as everybody's kind of grabbing for power. Also learned that the Scions are not the big bad.
Oh, okay.
They do not control the fog. They make use of the fog. The fog helps them. They've learned, whereas everybody else is affected by it and it's detrimental to them, they have learned to make use of the fog, but they do not generate the fog. They do not control the fog. Something else does.
Okay.
It's the dwarves because they're clearly
the dwarves.
It's
their industrial waste.
How you were explaining the dwarves, I'm like, wait, are these dwarves or mole people?
No, they're not mole people either.
They've come from the mines to reclaim the earth. That's basically like, oh, okay, so these are mole people.
I don't even think it's that, but it's the way she described it made the dwarves sound like 1,000% cooler than I had thought.
If my dwarf is part mole person, I'd be kind of into it too.
And I have to admit, I kind of like the feudum. So the feudum, from what they were describing, is the feudum, where let's say the wizard. So the hegemon are all, I don't want to say all about peace and love and mixing the races and all the rest of that stuff. Although they're, the hegemon have humans, they have dwarves, they have elves, they have a little bit of everything, and to which they also point out the Scions have a little bit of everything, just mashed into one thing.
More mabs, yeah.
I've got an elf mouth here, I got a dwarf arm there, I got a human legs here, and then some other things thrown in.
More canis.
Nothing more dangerous.
That's correct.
So the hegemon, the feudum, and so the feudum's magic, and so the feudum are kind of like they are only human. They are kind of like, I guess there's different religions and whatnot in the world, and the feudum believe, that they believe in the one God or something like that, and have kept themselves just to humans. And what their magics do is their magics don't necessarily affect other things. They're not casting fireballs all over the place or whatnot, but they're buffing the crap out of themselves.
So they're Menoth.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Yeah.
That's basically how Menoth is.
Yeah. So I'm kind of, and I do have to admit, I kind of like the little bit of the medieval, the little Arthurian kind of look to them with the armor and the hammers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like the halberd guys. I think those halberd guys look really sweet.
Yeah, but what about the knight on the griffin or whatever that?
Oh well.
Yeah,
if I could paint that, I'm hoping Cody buys that, and then I'll buy one because I know Cody's going to flub his first paint of it, and then I'll just get whatever he's got, which is going to be thoroughly acceptable for me.
You're not wrong.
I know I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong about a lot of stuff when it comes to that. but yeah, it was so if you haven't caught it, definitely check out Zombie Sashimi's interview with Hoopoe. It's really good. It's long, so it'll give you plenty of time if you bought the 2-player starter box as it's coming in. You'll have something to listen to while you're painting. Really, really good stuff. I picked up a lot out of it. Again, they were talking. They didn't talk a whole. He was trying to pry some release stuff out of there, but she was not forthcoming with any of that. But for someone who does not have the book, so I can't get the history of it right now until I decide to cough up the $65 and buy it. Um, it was good. It wasn't a detail primer. Maybe we'll have to do a lore video at some point in time for each of the factions, but uh, just that was enough to kind of whet my taste and give me more of a view of what the different races do. I'm excited. I've already declared myself as an elf player. That I even did the little what faction is going to be your faction little stupid thing on the website, and it was CNN. And I kind of went in going with that.
I kind of
So
want to get those orcs and the shapeshifters if I picked one.
they are cool. I'm not gonna lie. I like playing them. They were talking a little bit about tactics with Warcrow, and so going back now to our experience with playing the game, I enjoyed playing the game. It's a different play experience. You could definitely tell that the team that did Aristea was heavily involved in making it. They were talking about dice and how everybody's like, "Oh, just use a regular 10 and 20 sided dice, or whatever." Which I'm of the same mind. I would like it if it was just a regular die, but I get why they use the custom dice with symbols on them.
More money.
It's
Sell
more
those
money. It gives them
$20
more.
dice
It
pack.
gives them more flexibility. I'll be honest. It does. Like I say, it does give them more build flexibility.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
You could not
guess.
necessarily replicate easily what they're doing on those dice with a regular 8-sided die.
Well, also, I've got a billion 8-sided dice. Like I don't want another 8-sided. Give me something cool, right? Give me something interesting.
A 12-sided die,
symbols.
perhaps a 16-sided die.
Hey,
I
you
would
know
say
what?
a 13-sided die.
We could talk about how I stopped by the DGS booth and for free blades, but we're not going to talk about that too much on this channel.
Yeah,
that's
no.
another channel.
That's a different channel. Which no, not that I hate Free Blades. They're a great company and good people. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, no. Their dice mechanics, or not
well,
the dice mechanics. Their dice set is like a D&D. It's more obscene than a D&D set.
Well, it's like dungeon.
I know it's like
dungeon crawls.
Yeah, there's Zachi dice. It's I mean, and these have been around for they're just making use of it. Yeah.
So Warcrow, from a play standpoint, I enjoyed how it plays. It could play quick, although I have to admit, once you start ramping up to 250, which again they talked about in the interview, that's going to be really interesting because you have two ways to kind of go at it. There was a debate a little bit on the Discord about it. Can you do swarm tactics with it? Not as efficiently as you'd like to, because you're still going to be limited to the number of units you could activate. Although there are some things. So, for example, if I'm playing Alboric and I have Orc and Varric units, I am able to activate a unit I can activate 2 units in a turn. So I get a little swarmy. I'm going to blow through my command like no tomorrow. But hey, if for the first 2, in the second and third rounds when a lot of the combat's going, and I'm only activating 2 units around, maybe if I've got 4 command, I sure as hell am going to blow that. So that way, for those, I get to activate 8 units in 2 rounds, even if that 1 unit is all it's going to do is 1 action. But if I'm engaged in combat,
I think they mitigate that a little bit, right? So some of the scenarios that are designed for 250, they actually give you like 5 activations.
Oh, I would say you're going to get 5 activations and whatnot. Yeah. But the big thing was swarm tactics just won't work in this. I think there's already some built-in mechanics. Is it going to be efficiently done? No.
Yeah.
But the way I kind of look at it is with the no one left behind rule and some other things, I could still wear you down because, and I kind of look at it, and again, I'm looking at it in the very poor light of Black Legion versus Northern Tribes, and I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of the 2-player starter set. Those buckler men get really buffed up. But if I could nickel and dime a wound here, a wound there, or just I could take a figure, if I hit 8 times, but I could only get 2 wounds, so I could take out 1 figure while you're decimating my unit. But if I have another unit to come forward, I could just nickel. I could, 1, keep that 1 buckler unit engaged. 2, I could nickel and dime you down until it's something manageable. And once you get to that break point where the unit's 2 or less or something like that,
it's usually 2 guys,
even with the the medic in there, the war surgeon, and even with them getting the big morale boost, they fall off really, really fast at that point, and they become much more manageable. And yeah, so I lost a unit, but if I've got 3 units to make up to your 1 unit, it's just how quickly can I get there?
We'll see what the points balance are. Right now, we're really
We're
shooting blind, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
exactly
totally
what's going on.
blind.
It'd be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And then I'm going to be. I did not want to do this. I am against doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Warcrow Adventures. I'm going to wind up buying all of the Warcrow Adventures box sets as well as all of the expansions, so I can get all the Scions. Because that Scions card pack is going to be one of the first things that gets released after the Warcrow Adventures finally hits the shelves. And that card pack is going to include an exclusive Scions figure, as well as all of the cards to use all of the Scions figs that you would have gotten in your Warcrow Adventures. So all of that will be available. And then they're going to have a card pack for the heroes from Warcrow Adventures as well. And I think that probably was what really sealed the deal for me, because I think a lot of that's going to be both the
some of the heroes will be very cool. Yeah.
I think so.
And just to kind of alleviate, because I know this came up and now I got something in my eye. The rumor coming out of the Gen Con seminar was the only way you were going to be able to get Scions was by having Warcrow Adventures, or purchasing Warcrow Adventures. They have backtracked on that. They have Hoopoe has said on the Discord that they will be releasing the Scions outside of the adventure box at some point in time. So we don't have a timeline for that. We don't know where it is on the whole scheme of things, but at least it will happen. So if you don't want to go the route of buying adventures and all the supplements, you can. It's just we don't know what the weight's going to be on it.
Yeah. The general consensus is that it's probably going to wind up being the last faction.
Yeah.
Because they will have figs that are already out and they would be playable. So it would wind up at the very end of the cycle. So probably I'm thinking, because I know the way Corvus operates, you're probably looking at a year and change, maybe even 2 years before
I would say maybe Q1, Q2, 2026.
Yeah. But that's okay, because it gives you a chance to buy whatever other faction that you really also want to play. And let's face it, unless you're gaming Jason, you're buying it all.
This is true.
Something like that. So that's Warcrow. I mean, they talked a lot about stuff that's I should say the one thing I would say about the seminar, while they gave the timelines and everything, and they were talking about competitive play, which will be interesting, and they had a few other things, they really didn't give a whole lot of detail on what's coming up other than the Beyond box. And I was hoping they would have had a little more than that. So I was a little bummed. I was a little bummed about it. Plus, the seminar did all the Warcrow stuff, and then Hoopoe came on an hour later, because that was everybody on Discord was waiting for Hoopoe come out and talk about everything that's there, and I already saw it. So it's like, why don't you just do the live broadcast like they do with? I know they live streamed the seminar at Adepticon. Why didn't they just do it at Gen Con and kill 2 birds with 1 stone? But such is life.
It's the difference between Indiana internet and Illinois internet.
It's gonna be Wisconsin internet in a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
well, Wisconsin internet will be fine. So yeah, Warcrow, enjoying it a lot. We're probably going to be seeing it more often. Hopefully, I think me and Dr. Dice will have to get together and noodle together our own campaign story of things that are going on with that. So that way, when we do our Teach Gaming Jason, and then once we get get a cohesive story together, we'll do our own little campaign thing for it, and looking forward to definitely expanding that out beyond the 2-player starter set, which hopefully we'll be getting those figures in the next month or two. So stay tuned for that if you are a Warchrome fan. One last thing, even though we're probably going to we'll talk briefly about N5 because we're on Corvus Belli right now. So the other big news coming out, N5 will be coming out in November. So they have a new edition out there.
How long was N4 out for? I feel like N4 has only been out for like 2 years.
It feels like it's been out for 2 years. I think it's been about for 3 years.
Or like the beginning of the pandemic.
3,
still,
4
I mean,
years.
like that's like a quick turnaround.
N4
so really that broken that they needed to do a new edition change?
And you can you were at the seminar, Dr. Dice, so you could fill us in on this a little more. From what I've heard, it's not a giant. I would almost say it's like akin to Dungeons and Dragons when they went from 3.0. They didn't go 3.0 to 4.0. They went 3 to 3.5. Is that kind of the feel that they were talking about at the seminar?
Not having played Infinity, really, it's kind of hard to judge what some of the ramifications of the things they're talking about are, but it does seem to have that feel. Right.
Okay.
Whether or not that's accurate or not, well, I don't know. But yeah, it seems like that's what they're doing. They're kind of doing a cleanup of a lot of rules. They're reducing complexity significantly in some places. One of the things that they are doing is they're making it an entry point into the product, right? So they're getting away from the, Code 1 is kind of the Infinity N4 Lite, right? They're doing away with that product line entirely.
Yeah.
They're going to the Infinity Essentials line. So that's going to offer you a much more inviting entry point into the product. So this way you have a easy gateway into playing N5. And I think they're also kind of taking a look and see where some of the rules interactions what kind of went akimbo. And they said, well, we're going to kind of pull back. We're going to simplify some of the product lines a little bit. That means some of the units will kind of be out of N5 for a little while, until they kind of get them into a place where they want to reintroduce them. So your favorite faction may have a couple of units, or your favorite faction entirely might have a little bit of a pause button. But I think overall, the expectations are that it's going to be a very good thing. People were excited, and I know that, well, again, thanks to the very cool little Paradise Lost anime, I know I'm excited about the possibility of getting in a couple of games and playing a little bit of Infinity N5 here in the not too distant future.
Yeah, just looking really briefly, Goonhammer had a little bit of a review on talking about the N5 changes. Basically, and again, I think they just took some talking points out of the clip for it. It's still going to be always your turn. So essentially, they're not really changing any of the gameplay mechanics or nothing drastic. So you still are going to have the face to face. You're still going to have AROs. They're all staying essentially the same, but they're trying to polish and streamline things more. So one of the things they talked about was the way damage on weapons is going to be determined. So instead of weapons doing a certain amount of damage, there's going to be a probability of survival number. And normally when you used to roll armor, you were trying to roll above a number. Now you're trying to roll below it. So kind of keeping things more uniform and help that, because it was always counterintuitive, because everything I want to be, to hit on something, I wanted to be at the number or below. And if I got the number exactly that I needed to hit, then that was a critical. But when you flipped it then to do the survival on the armor, you were trying to roll above whatever the number was. So that was always kind of a little bit of disconnect. So again, I think they're going to be doing a lot of polishing of gameplay mechanics to smooth them out. A lot of people are hoping that they're going to be doing some things while they improved greatly. Net decking, doing hacking. I think they're hopefully going to be smoothing out that a little more. Who knows? And close combat's always been one of those, because again, Infinity has mainly been a shooting game, and they've always said it's a shooting game, and shooting is always going to be better than close combat. But close combat from N1 and 2 was N2 was a bear on that. N3 and N4 it got better. So my guess is maybe they'll either leave it the same or they'll smooth it out, and hopefully they'll smooth out some movement things and whatnot. Again, I haven't played in a long time. I've played maybe 2 games of N4. just not a whole lot. So that'll be interesting. They'll optimize, like you mentioned, the armies and stuff like that. They're going to get some changes. There's some armies that aren't going to be seeing it, but there's new factions coming. So JSA is now going to be an official new faction rather than a sub faction. So yeah, just lots of quality improvement. So again, less of a
major addition change.
overhaul and more of a polishing. Like I said, more of a D&D going from 3.0 to 3.5 rather than going from a 3.0 to 4th edition or 5th edition D&D. So something to look forward to. Last but not least, for the Corvus Bella, 2 things for Aristea. That came out in the Zombie Sashimi interview. And again, Aristea is one of those hidden pleasures that we just don't play a lot of.
It's for you guys. I'm not a big fan of like Aristea and Loot. What's the privateer version of it? Like Loot Rumble or
You would be wrong.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of those laning game kind of deals.
Yeah. Like if I'm going to play that, then I may as well play
League of
Legends or play whatever the hell Cody and Josh play on PlayStation.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I hate that game.
Dota. I'm forgetting what the name is. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting though that you're saying that because the is this where you're leading? You're going to talk about the digital asset here?
Well, there's going to be a video game of Aristea. That's one.
Okay.
Which I think you'll probably like that because it's probably going to be like Blood Bowl.
Oh, okay, then I might. then that would be at least nice.
So that will make it a little more approachable, I think. But also, I think they're also getting an edition change. That was the only rumor that she let slip, and that was because I think the host for Zombie Sashimi is a playtester, and he said he let it loose because Carlos let it loose, so it was already out in the space. So take it with a grain of salt from me because I haven't done a whole lot of research on it. But Aristea might be coming for an edition change in the not too distant future. So that wraps up Corvus Bella and all the goodness that's coming out of them. They've got a lot on there, and I will give them credit because they're plugging along at their own speed, doing their own thing, and in my opinion, doing it right, and not they are in my opinion the shining light compared to the juggernaut that is GW. I could be wrong, but I give them the credit for the way they're doing things lately. Ooh, look at that grumpy face. Look at that grumpy face. He's a grumpy Dr. Dice.
Hey, it's a well-known fact of the gaming community. There are some influencers that just they don't appreciate what GW does for the hobby. And I am not one of them. I appreciate very much what they do. They are a fantastic entry point and part of everyone's journey at some point in the gaming.
At some point,
but hey, and you know what? I continue to enjoy their games. You don't. That's okay. That's all right. Gaming is for everybody, right? Different strokes at different times.
Yes.
But
what
else do we have?
Yeah. Well, speaking of GW,
here we go.
Might as well roll into that before we get into
Imperial Agents just dropped the new codex.
I'm not worrying about that. We're just going to talk about the big bomb of one of the 2 games that Gaming Greg plays.
Whoa! You don't play this. You collect it. I don't know if you've actually played an actual game of it.
Yeah, me and Dr. Dice have played a few games, just not recently.
Yeah.
I totally do want to play more of this game because it is, as most people will say, of the three main pillars of GW, with them being 40K, AOS, and then Middle Earth strategy battle game. Of the 3 pillars, Middle Earth strategy battle game is usually recognized as the best written rule set. True or not, I don't know, but I haven't played AOS. I have played 40K in the past, and I've played Middle Earth. And Middle Earth is really good. And as me and Dr. Dice discovered, it's essentially based off of the Warhammer historical rule set for Wild West rules. which was really kind of neat. But the big news, I should say the big news, but the news coming out of good old the G-dubs is that there will be a new edition of Middle Earth battle strategy battle game.
What's the name of this one? Something of the Rohirrim?
Well, that's because Amazon's coming out with the War of the Rohirrim movie, which is an animated movie. I don't know. I think they might be tying into that a little bit. And again, if you go by the GW business model, they've released 10th edition 40K.
Mm-hmm.
They released AOS. They're gonna need something because sales are gonna bump from both of those new releases. They're gonna need something next year to bump those sales again. They can't do a new release of 40K that fast.
Well, they
Got to
totally
give it about.
could.
They could, but they realistically got to give it about 5 years before they're going to do it. That's been the cycle lately. Is every 5 years they come out with a new edition. So the only one that they have available really is Middle Earth. And again, I don't think it's going to draw the same kind of sales because the Middle Earth game sales were kind of really tied into the movies and the media stuff. But with War of the Rohirrim animated coming out, that's going to be something. I don't think Rings of Power are as much of a draw, and from what I've heard is they are limited in the figures that they can make for that. Although, as I've pointed out, they kind of already have done it.
Oh, yeah. Celebrimbor's already there, right?
I know they have a Celebrimbor. I don't think they have a Celebrimbor, but they do have a Gil-galad. They have just about everybody there except for maybe Celebrimbor and Durin. I think those are the only two models that they haven't really done.
I'm almost confident we have a Durin from the Hobbit era, right?
No. We're talking Durin from the Second Age.
Okay.
Second Age, where they had where the dwarves got driven out of Morea.
Okay.
That Durin. So I don't know if we have that. If they do, great. So yeah, that's less of a reasoning then for that. But yeah, that was kind of the news coming out that they're going to have a new Middle Earth. I don't know how much they're going to change because there's the little bit of talk that I've heard about it is everybody's kind of paranoid that they're going to the AOSification of the game. And I don't know if you could do that with Middle Earth. It just doesn't play that way. It doesn't play like 40K at all.
Well, that doesn't mean again, we haven't played AOS, so that would be like a Grandmaster Cody question to be like, hey, what mechanics do you see moving over? Because I could definitely see them using that. I could see GW just doing it because it's like we gotta make something look new. So you know what? Take this existing rule set and slap it in there.
I really don't think they can. The uniqueness of Middle Earth is that it is the one game that I could say that they've blended the powerful characters with baseline units, so that way they actually mesh very well. I don't see 40K doesn't do it. Either 40K you've got Hero Hammer or you don't. And AOS, I think, is pretty much the same. They don't have that same kind of way of meshing the two of them. And they just play, and again, because the core rule set being that old Warhammer historical, which was far more approachable than Old World or Warhammer Fantasy. You know, it's not a true rank and flank, so I don't have to put guys and units and go in squares and whatnot when I'm doing my stuff. I can have them go willy-nilly wherever they're going, just make sure I know which unit's which.
Right.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do an N5 where it's just kind of a polishing and maybe adding some things and maybe, refining some things and taking a bunch of the errata that's been addressed over the years and cleaning it up and stuff like that. I'm hoping that's what they do. I mean, I'm not thrilled because I finally broke, it's one of those things where I broke down and I bought the rule book and I bought one of the army books. Now I'm going to have to buy 3 new books if I want to play.
Yeah, but I would assume that because those books have been out so long, you probably got it at like a reasonable price. No.
There's no such thing as a discount on GW. That doesn't exist.
Not on that property. No, not on that property.
But you know what? That's fine because the number of times that you've actually played it between the time that we got it and now, right? It's like we had plenty of opportunity. The fact that we
Mm.
didn't play it more, well, that's just kind of on us. But
Well, that's mainly because I'm lazy.
yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. I really do. I think it's gonna be marginal changes at best. So I'm not exceptionally worried about it.
So that was the big thing there. All right, so let's talk about. I'm going to say Fallout for last. So let's talk about GCT. Let's talk about the big news out of Gen Con for them was Jason.
The Awoken Spider People.
Spider people, spider people.
Which
Does
works too,
whatever
because I've been watching Into the
Spider-People does.
Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse a lot lately.
There you go. So yes, GCT has released. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's one of the train, or that's one of the train pieces.
I believe that is
Yes.
a train piece.
This is a trade piece.
Nice. And now, and right beforehand when we started, because I hadn't really thumbed through these, I just kind of heard from our play testers where they're just like, "Oh, these guys are like, just not are awakening for a bad time." They seem interesting.
They seem interesting. I will
But
say,
they also seem like that they follow like the war or not warcaster, the warlock issue, where they will get less good as you kill more of them. But if you don't kill them, they can alpha strike the hell out of you.
Well, that's true. That's true. There's a ability, so they're all Fear X, right? For the most part, all of the Kumo, which are the spiders, the large spiders, not the cultists that they bring with them, but the spiders have Fear X, and that X is dependent on the number of Kumo that are currently on the table. So as you start to reduce the number of Kumo that are available, you're going to increase. I mean, you're going to decrease the amount of fear checks that you have to take, or the strength of that fear check, I guess I should say.
And a couple of the models, their key feats are banking on how many Kumos are also still alive too. Some of the more nastier ones, you get an extra die, or the value base is based off of how many Kumo are currently alive or caught like in a web trap.
Yep. And it's a couple of the Kumo but they have weight actions.
That weight actions thing is, to put it mildly, I know it's a weight action, so technically the model's not giving anything up, but just about all of them except for I'm going to call them the possessed like humanoids that aren't Kumos, the fact that they get to do their first weight action for free, that's like huge as far as that activation economy is concerned. I'm like, and they get a train element, which I'm like, oh, that it's interesting, but I already can force. I am just kind of speculating on how nasty that's going to get, and just again really kind of drive home that point of activations, which is already a premium for a lot of factions in Bushido. To if you can find a way to get extras, good on you.
Yeah. The thing is, you've got to find out if you're playing the spiders. I think that you've got to be a very competent player. This is not going to be a beginner-friendly faction.
No, definitely not.
And what I'm also seeing on here is you're going to have to be very cognizant of your positioning. So spider players have to make sure that their spiders are actually in webs in order to use that weight action to get the other free web or free whatever it is.
Free action. So, for example, and not to talk over you, but for example, Tashi the Eightfold Blessing, they may perform a weight action to gain Dread 1 and Terror, which is horrifying, until the end phase. If this model is within a webbed ground terrain feature, then it does not lose an activation counter the first time each turn it performs a weight action. So essentially, get the weight, get that Dread until the end phase, which is now going to make it near approachable, or is going to make it when it gets into combat that much more effective.
Mm-hmm.
And I get an extra action. It's almost a better version of a pass because I get something out of it.
Yeah. Well, that, and you get to, and I mean, again, the side effect is, and again, hers, at least it's restricted to a web, but a lot of them, they can just say, I put down a web marker, and the first time I do it, I don't lose an activation token out of it. That's huge right there, because you're getting a train element, and those webs do mess with other models besides assisting like what the Kumos can do. But the webs themselves, I think they do a couple different things.
This one's gross.
Lose an inch of
No. Poisoned enemy models in the aura cannot gain activation counters in the main phase.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, so
that's
that's
a
one of the
one
things that's
simple
got me
action.
concerned.
That's
Well,
gonna
I'm
be
trying to figure
tough.
out how that would. So how would that? Oh, so
If
it's
you're in the aura,
so
it's a simple action.
so basically you can't. It's basically activation shutdown, so people can't do vitality or whatever like that after
You-
outside of. Well, I'm trying to remember when the main phase is.
My Hagane bomb starts to have
You
problems,
can't.
right?
Well,
So you
Hagane,
can't.
a lot of those
Yeah,
like
Hagane bomb,
bombs,
the
The
trash
general,
panda,
doing orders with like Kazimoto or any of
anything,
those
anything
types
that
of
gives out
models.
extra. Yeah, anything that gives out extra activations.
Basically, a competent version of what Kohi can kind of do, but again, Kohi is a theme lock model to the Thousand Names box because he has
yeah. I
the same
look at the
ability for just existing. But at least they do have the condition of that they got to have a what? They just have to have a poison marker on it, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Look at the range
So
on that aura.
yeah,
it's
it's the
infinite.
whole board.
It's a whole board.
Yeah.
No, it's not just your board. It's the board across the
The
game.
board across the way.
That's right. It's every poison table everywhere.
Yeah, I've interesting that they've kind of that they have a number of those types of key feats where it's just like, yeah, it affects the entire board, and it's just like, damn, okay.
Indomitable 8. I find that cute. Uh,
Yeah, that's all of them too. They're doing that with like the octopus where
I
it's like,
know.
oh, I'm Indomitable 8. Okay, so good luck trying to. I mean, I guess you could exhaust these things. A lot of them, or actually all of them, I think, are aware, so you can't surprise them.
Well, it makes sense. They have a.
I guess you could
You
blind them.
can surprise them in certain ways, but you're not gonna get the backstrike.
You're
on
not going to get the backstrike bonus. And a lot of them are still fairly competent fighters, so the only real way to maybe try to take an advantage of them is you gotta exhaust them.
So the only things that I see, one, they're pretty much all of them. I think have a melee pool of 3. They could boost to get more. They don't have any reroll mechanic that I've seen so far.
No, I guess you could shoot them to death.
You could try and shoot them. That's something that could be done.
Well, pretty much a majority, except for like the Jakunan, everybody else is all the other like bigger spiders that I would say are like the scarier spiders are either on a medium or a large base. I guess you could shoot them.
The
Well,
baleful discharge is a great way to get poison out.
one of the things about I brought that up while I
Mhm.
was at the booth because I was taking a look at the base sizes. I was like, these things are going to get shot off the board, aren't they? Ito's going to have a field day, and Enos basically said no. The Kumo trait also you don't count that range modifier. Their size of the base does not count for range with this fact.
Wait, with the Kumo ability or the
Yeah,
Kumo
so
keyword?
Kumo.
I didn't see that when I read through it because I hadn't seen it
There we go.
before.
Hang on.
Here's a trait card. This model begins the game with 2 key tokens. Ignores size modifiers to challenge number when performing ranged attack or ranged challenge test against this model.
Oh, that's bogus as hell.
Yeah. If this model deal well, and also if this model deals damage in melee exchange, it gains key tokens equal to. And that's the other trick is, which I'll show in a second. It gains key tokens equal to the enemy's key statistic and heals 1 damage. So you've got some kind of regeneration already going on. So that's going to make
Yeah,
him a tough customer.
that's
This model begins the game with 2 key tokens. Ignore size modifiers to the challenge number when performing a ranged attack or ranged challenge test against this model. So twofold. Normally, the way that you would try to lower that number is either A, get in close range to shoot at it, or B, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. If it's a larger base target, you're going to get a nice bonus on it. Or B, surprise it. You can't do either to this model.
yeah, that's incredibly
To
stupid.
Kumo models, or
Well,
at
they're all
least the ones with
Kumo
aware.
models.
Well, no, there's some that they were in
There's
there
like
that don't have
two.
aware. There's like
It's
2
like the
humans.
It's the 2 cultist type models that are small
Yeah.
base anyways.
Um,
That are kind of like their key batteries. That's
See now
that's
here's the
annoying
thing
as
that I
hell.
would say is interesting, and I don't know if it's true or not. I'll admit to not being quite as prepared as I should for talking about these. But so for example,
Well, it's more of a first impression
Emi of
question.
the Mines World, and this goes pretty much for all the Kuma models that I've seen. When you look at their key stat, it's 0, 4, 0, 6, 0 something. So when you do an opposed key test against them, they're giving you a die.
No, they're not. They all have spirit.
They have spirit 2, but you still have to roll a die. Or spirit 2 give them dice.
Spirit 2 gives them dice.
Okay, so they're not
So the spirit is basically counteracting for them not being able to generate key.
okay, and then their key feats are not they're not doing opposed key feats out.
Don't think they have any opposed key feats because yeah, even the one that's basically the spider version of Curse Fate, which is fucking fucking awesome. That one's not even opposed. I don't believe I saw an opposed feat in the
Oh,
card
and
when I
that's how
scrolled
you, and
through
it's
'em.
also how they get around. That was the other thing is people are like, well, how are they going to be able to find disguised models? You use the key, you use the spirit too to
Spirit.
get to it. All right,
The
so
only ones that
that
have it
kind of
is
wipes out that.
yeah,
So
again,
they're be rolling two.
these things are definitely upping the next level for what's
Well, they
out
they
there.
are, but they aren't. I mean, if you take a look,
They're
for
going to
the
be
most
very
part,
delicate.
you've
They're
got
delicate, but still.
you've got a lot of the. Let's see. So far, what Ren and Akita and Hidemi, these guys are all like 2 melee, right? So if you can't kick them in the teeth in melee, then you're doing something wrong.
Well, they should, if
And
they're having
you're
them
not buying
if they're
dice
having
with them.
them if they're having them in melee, they've done something
Yes,
wrong, probably.
Right,
exactly,
that's what I'm
because
saying.
those guys
But I have to
are
get,
batteries.
well, yeah, but I have to get you in melee too because uh if I want to generate key via melee, right? So I go into somebody or hopefully I've debuffed you by putting you into web terrain.
Mhm.
Um so I can there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of setup with this faction.
Yes.
I think it's a
Yes.
big risk, big reward. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's a complete departure from the stuff that I've been playing. So I think this is going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about it, but I would say, and people have kind of talked about this already. I'm going to shut this down. But if you're wanting to look at the cards and do not have the Bushido Companion app, all the cards are on the Bushido Companion app. So definitely download that if you're playing Bushido and don't have it already. But if you don't have it and are just looking to dip your toe into Bushido based on the spiders, take a look at the Goonhammer article that I had pulled up that has all the cards there also. Um, I will say this: it's kind of like Kenshi, and it's kind of like the Foxes, but a little less the Foxes. The Foxes could be a little more playable to a beginner than say Kenshi. I'd say the Spiders are a lot like Kenshi and a lot like ninjas. They have the potential to be very powerful. They
Mhm.
have a lot of little janky things that they could do. They require a lot of setup and a lot of conditions to be met for them to be successful. Once you master those things, your friends will hate you because it's kind of like ninjas. If you could get ninjas down right, they are nigh unbeatable with four figures between the
Unless
events
if
and
you
everything else. Unless you have very specific builds to
to
nip
deal
them
with
in the
it.
bud, um, it is an uphill battle on those things. However, and I think the spiders are going to be the same way. They're early out. They are very um like you said, they need to be set up just right to pull off some of their tricks. And any disruption of that is going to make them harder to play. So
I
I think
still
aesthetically they look good. I think it's going to be it's one of those learning curve factions.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
a learning curve faction, but it's nice because they do have almost a set of training wheels built into them. Again, having X for your fear statistic, they have a built-in buffer. So I don't know how much that the total box is, but I mean, if you're getting close to fear 6, unless if there's a way that you can pop fearless out of your ass, I mean,
Like a web.
yeah, basically.
Well, there's
I mean,
people who have fearless. There's fearless.
they
It
have
just means
ways
that
to
you're going to
protect
be
themselves from most other even 2 key models will have a little bit of a struggle because it's about a 50-50 shot if it's at 6. Again, they
you
maybe
just
could have
know
more.
it makes leadership more valuable because now if I'm rolling two dice and adding one, that makes it that much better.
Mhm.
Um, it means bravery goes up in quality. It just means you're going to be
Kind
looking.
of.
It means you're probably going to be trying to have at least one leadership model in your list if you're tailoring it to counter something like this.
It's
If
forcing the game to go to that 2 list format, which I'm not a big fan of. Like, if it was just like a normal
to be
thing where
honest,
it's like, "Here's what it is,"
from a casual standpoint, I don't think it changes anything.
if it was trying to be an all-comers list, it's really tough to sometimes I mean, there are models in the game where it's
I
like,
would
"Here's an
say
auto include for, like, a bravery or a leadership," but to me, this is definitely leaning towards, yeah, you need that second list format now if you come across this,
I
in my
think
opinion.
I think this is going to be. I think this is I'm not too again from a competitive standpoint. I think I could see a couple counters coming to this already, and it's still again. There's a lot of things that have to go a certain way for things to work, and it's going to take a while to master that. Beyond that, I as you could crit strike one of these just as good as anything else in the list, except now you got to be careful not to get poisoned, because if you get poisoned and there's that one guy out there, he puts the aura up and says, "Ha, no special attacks or defenses for you."
Would you agree that for every, like, it's going to be a popular faction because the models are cool
Yes,
and people are going to want to buy them because they're neat looking, they're going to be fun to paint,
I
the
think
little terrain is great, right?
yes.
But I'm thinking that even though there are going to be a lot of these figs out in the universe, for every 5 people that play it, only one is going to do it effectively. The other
Right.
4 are going to be easy wins for you at any event you go to, because they're
Essentially.
probably, it's a hard faction to play. I think the skill ceiling is really, really high, but so is the floor.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It kind of goes. Kenshi have been out for a while, and the last last Adepticon was the first one. I mean, much like when we had in 2022.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2022.
2022 was the year of the Oni for us. No one had seen that many Oni come to a convention, and we had like 4 or 5 Onis out of 28 people, which was unheard of before. Last year we had what, 4 or 5 Kenshi lists.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
5 or 6 Kenshi lists, which again, unheard of in competitive tournament play. None of them did well. But that I think racks up more to some of the players. Some of the players were newer, as in they've been playing for maybe a couple years, but have only been really playing within their own meta. And you never know what the diversity of factions are in a meta. And when you go to a big tournament like an Adepticon or UKGE, where you're pooling in players from from multiple metas, unless you are blessed in your meta to have 1 or 2 people that have a lot of different factions and are very willing to play those factions and can play those factions at a moderate to high level of play, you're behind the 8 ball. That's just how Bushido is. Competitive Bushido, the more reps you get, the more diverse. You could play one list and just do that. You could just play Ito. You could just play Ryu. You could just play Oni. But
Silver Moon, yeah, I know.
you could just play Silver Moon.
Yeah, but Silver
You could
Moon
get
is still
very good
diverse
at.
with, like, having 3 factions.
But if he just plays Silver Moon, but just plays me again with Ito and you with Oni, he's not going to be able to handle the tricks of Temple, of Shiho, of Ronin Silver Moon lists. You're not prepared for those other other things that come at you, and that's really, again, you could argue with me that Bushido is not a gotcha game. Bushido is totally a gotcha game. The trick is that everybody knows, and again, you could say, "Oh, but everybody knows what the gotchas are." Yes and no.
They know what it
You
is,
could
they
you
don't
could see
understand
what
it.
it is, but you don't necessarily see it coming, and that's the
Yeah.
gotcha of it. If you don't play against it and you get caught with it the first time, that's a gotcha. I know it exists. I just haven't seen the timing of when it's going to hit me. And the example of this is outside of Bushido. When we used to play War Machine,
Yep.
we had some really good players in our local meta, and I mean they were top notch, and they could be very good tournament players. The
One of them is in the
downside
national
was,
circuit, isn't he?
yeah, one of them is now. He actually
Yeah.
plays at the Worlds.
Yeah, World.
And they both got caught by the same thing, although different versions of it. Um,
Oh, the Mullet Karn bullet and the Mulg and the Mul and
and the
the
Mullet bullet.
bullet.
Oh, the caster assassination, quick.
It was yeah, but they were
Well,
using
yeah,
the big.
but you use
They
you
use
use the
Karn
big fizz
yeah.
and Mullet Karn
One
and
was for Troll Bloods, one was for Corn.
was for
But it was essentially the same thing. As you power up the one guy and he comes in and annihilates you from
Yeah.
across.
And those weren't like little where it's like, oh, I could probably take it with my caster. No, these were like the premier named war beasts that were just like, yeah, this is gonna, if I don't kill you and you run hot, you're just gonna go rampant into my warcaster anyways and kill you.
And the trick is our local meta was very War Machine, not a lot of hordes.
Okay.
And so when we went to go play at big tournaments like the
Mayhem
the
Cup.
Mayhem Cup, which is where they both fell for the same trick. and it was a bullet rush because they knew it existed. They just never saw it in action before because no one in our meta played it.
But they got to go to lunch much quicker.
Well, they
One of
went
them
to
did.
they didn't go to lunch
It was even
quicker, but they
better.
learned that it was Long Island iced teas by the picture,
And
and
bought pictures of Long Island iced tea.
Hey, you know what?
at
If
the
you're gonna
awards
win,
ceremony. At the awards ceremony, our one guy, he's just sitting there and he's got his picture of Long Island iced teas with a straw in it.
Well,
It was awesome. So that's pretty much the wrap up on GCT. That's the big news coming out of them is that we have the um we
The
have the
Awoken.
spiders, the Awoken. So we're looking forward to seeing that. And yes, our meta have at least now 3 players that have spiders. So you will be seeing that in a video coming soon, possibly before you see the Kabuki box. Not throwing
Wow,
shade
that's
on
rough.
Jason, not throwing shade
But
on
it's
Jason,
true.
but just saying.
It's true. Probably. I don't know. I've
Okay.
actually felt like a little bit of motivation to paint again. I was surprised that I actually painted Hoopoe
Well,
the
there
other
you
day. And I
go.
mean, I got him all the way done. It's like, oh yeah, I
Did you
got
freehand tats on him?
No. Okay, I'm not Headley or any of the
Someday
other amazing people.
Channel your inner Headley.
At that point, I just need to like Amazon nail decals and try to start
That's
using
probably
those.
not a bad thing. We probably should practice on those with some of our crappy figures.
Probably. That
all
would
right.
be how I would end up doing it.
Yep.
But some models would be a pain though. But at least I'll get Kenichi here hopefully soon because that is supposed to be being mailed to me from Jason up in Canada from Splinterbrush.
Nice.
Shen Kenichi, the Iron Chef Chinese?
Kind of.
Yeah,
He's going to be the
almost.
Iron Chef Silvermoon Gangmaster. Can't wait to get my butt handed to me with that. All right. So let's kind of move things along. We're going to talk about Fallout, and then we might just talk. I don't know if we'll talk briefly about roleplay games, but we'll see what we can do. So Fallout Factions, that is the new hotness that is kind of replacing what was it? Fallout Wasteland Warfare or Warfare Wasteland?
Yeah, so Fallout Wasteland Warfare, it's still a thing, right?
It's still a thing.
It hasn't gone anywhere. But that's the narrative experience, right? So if you're playing that, it's because it's
I like narrative experiences, though.
Well, we could absolutely still play. I seem to have a lot of that product. But
Yes,
Factions is a much more tight Necromunda style game. Let's say that because James Hewitt, who actually did Necromunda, is one of the chief designers. Man, you are blurry. I think your internet connection might be having some issues over there, my friend.
Gaming Greg?
Yeah,
Gaming Greg.
Yes, it shows that I have an internet issue.
Unacceptable.
It's okay. You're part of Secret Protection. You're part of Secret Service now.
What's
so
funny is it's saying
all the
it says I should plug into my router, but I am
plugged into your router, aren't you?
I am plugged into the router.
Yeah, that's why I was like, you are plugged into the router because I remember
you've had a daughter come home and she's probably using internet up. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. You're in witness protection right now.
I don't know what's going on.
I'll text my sister.
So here is the deal. I would say for Fallout Factions, right now they've got a little bit of a limited selection, although they do have get you buy lists, so you can play Brotherhood of Steel, 2 different types of raiders, and actually, no, that's a lie. It's about 5 different types of raiders and 2 different types of survivors. And they're going to be coming out with a whole bunch more, right? Super mutants also. Mm-hmm. So if you've got pre-existing stuff, you're in good shape. If you don't have pre-existing stuff, there is no better time to buy some of the older stuff because you're going to be able to use that in the Factions game. It is a lot of fun. We played our game, and I got the floor absolutely mopped with me because Gaming Greg decided that a rocket launcher should fire into a mass of my dudes and turn them all into a
puddle
of goo. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more. It's an exciting game. It's a lot of fun. And now like I said, I picked up all of the Cult of the Mothman.
I'd be interested in doing that. I wasn't big into the narrative. I forget what it was. I didn't really get a chance to do a demo, which is funny. Well, I never played the video game, but I know one of our guys locally who paints for him. I know he was big into it. I just never got a chance to actually like demo it out. But I saw something was like, I might be into it. But this more Necromunda, maybe skirmish type, I'd probably be okay getting into it or trying it out a little bit more. Also, when you said Super Mutants, I was like, okay, I could get behind that. I could play Super Mutants.
Look, Jay, it's going to be a gateway drug, brother. I'm gonna get you out playing Factions. and then we'll get you hungry for more, and then we'll get you playing a couple of games of Wasteland Warfare, and you can decide if you like that or not. And like I said, because I have everything, you don't have to make any purchasing decisions. You just say, "Hey, I want to play this," and that's why we have the operating theater behind me.
Exactly.
So you can play whatever you like.
I would say comparing it to Necromunda, and again, we really didn't get too deep into the campaign stuff from it, but it is definitely definitely better, definitely streamlined. Did my picture just clear up?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay, that's good because I apparently whatever was dragging my internet down just changed. I think I figured out what I was doing. Anyway, um, compared to Necromunda, which I love Necromunda, but Necromunda is a paperwork nightmare. And the way that
Oh, yeah.
even though GW has put out a consolidated book to have everything in it, it's still to run that campaign is an absolute chore. This one, again, we haven't really gone in depth on it. It looks a lot smoother. The only one that I would say is probably a smoother campaign that's kind of a gang type thing would be Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's campaign is very, very easy, very smooth, not a lot of detail. This one looks like it's a step up. I would say this one's probably in between Cyberpunk by
Monster Fight Club.
Monster Fight Club. So Monster Fight Cyberpunk's down here, Necromunda's here. It's Fallout's probably right in the middle. Just enough crunch to it, where you keep track of keeping track of a couple things. You're keeping track of equipment. You're going to probably do it on paper and stuff like that. Whereas Cyberpunk, you got some cards. You're going to pick some things up here or there. It's and your improvements on Cyberpunk are very basic. Your improvements on Fallout are very much akin to individual figures are very much like Necromunda, but there's just a lot less paperwork to do. So I'm looking forward to that almost as much as I'm looking forward to Port Royal whenever that comes.
That's going to be fantastic too. I'll tell you just one more thing on the factions, right?
Sure.
So when we're talking about the campaign play, as you are playing the games, depending on where you fought, the battlefield you fight at, because the original box set here, it's taking place in Nuka World, which is a theme park environment with, I think, 5 or 6 different little theme park lands. And so depending on the land you are fighting in, you may or may not be more predisposed to find one type of thing or another. And so chems, stims, drugs, very important. It's going to allow you to do more damage. There's very little downside to rampant drug use in this game.
Drugs are bad.
Okay.
Drugs are bad.
You went crazy on the psycho. It's great. And
awesome.
So you might find some of those in there, but also, so when it comes to leveling up your dudes, parts and caps are going to be important. Parts allow you to enhance your weapons. So I could say I've got, I don't know, this little guy right here. Okay. This little guy's got like some kind of little pistol thing, and he's got like a machete. Okay.
Sure.
The machete, I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of upgrades on, but maybe I upgrade the pistol. Maybe I upgrade with like a scope or something, or I upgrade the firing mechanism. That's represented by, in the game, there are a couple of different levels that you can use on that weapon, and it slightly changes the stat profile. So you don't need to get a whole new fig to represent that same model. Right? You can use that exact same fig. I don't have to go buy extra stuff. It's just that fig got just a little bit incrementally better as a result of the campaign. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a really cool system.
I think we'll probably do a how to play and go into some of the details on it so people get a better feel for it. All right, so that was Fallout. I think we're going to probably we've gone for about an hour and a half here, so I think we'll probably save our role play things for another time. Although I will say I am excited on the Star Trek second edition from Mophidius. I played a little bit in the beta of the first edition, and there were some quirks to the system I didn't like, but from what Dr. Dice has been telling me, they have smoothed over those. So looking forward to seeing what that's like. Because I will say, Mophidius for Star Trek, the source materials and the different books they put out a spectacularly good product. And one of the things that I liked about the first generation Star Trek, and they're going to repeat it in the second version here, is the character building. The character building is much like the original FASA roleplay Star Trek, where you go through a whole life path. Like, oh, I did real good in high school. I'm going to go to Starfleet. I was able to get into Starfleet. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be a non-com. No, I'm going to be an officer. I'm going to do that. It's a lot of fun, that whole building your character, traveler-esque, FASA Star Trek kind of build to it, life path kind of thing. So definitely kind of looking forward to doing that in the near future. All right. So, gentlemen, in going to wrap things up, what does our next couple weeks look like for you, gaming and hobby wise? I'll start it off real quick. Probably going to try to get some Bushido play in. I'm probably going to try to get some Fallout in. I'm trying to get some Cyberpunk in, to be honest. What actually gets taped, I don't know. But there will be hopefully a battle report for next week. Just got to find time. It may not happen just because we have a lot of real life things going on. I've got birthdays and we've got people going back to college. So we'll see what happens. If that's the case, then hopefully I will get some more painting done. I've got about 5 Western figures that I want to get done. I got 2 of them done, and I've got 3 or 4 more to do. And that'll be my Dead by Lead gang, so that'll be nice. And once that's done, my guess is I'm either defaulting to putting together a metric ton of Carnival terrain, assembling and painting a ton of Bushido terrain and scatter terrain, and last but not least, probably assembling Moonstone figures and then trying to get those painted. So that's my next 2 weeks of hobby in a window there. Jace, what about you?
I'm going to try to do some painting.
Perfect.
That's the big
keep
thing.
it short and sweet.
Yeah, I try to get some painting done. We got sickness going through the house, so it's just kind of making sure everybody is good with that. So I might be limited on my in-person gaming stuff, and if I'm not playing like video games or something like that. But the big focus is going to try to be doing some painting stuff, and then saying bye to my sister when she goes back to university.
There we go. Dr. Dice, what about you, sir?
Well, as you know, I have a penchant for assembling everything the minute I get it. So my spiders need to be primed and painted. My moonstone needs to be primed and painted. We are going to be doing a lot more cyberpunk painting. I need to get a little bit more of the factions painted since I got all those built today. And then after I've got all of that kind of stuff, or maybe somewhere in the middle, I also need to pick up. I've been deciding which spearhead box for GW Spearhead I'm going to get. I'm thinking I was really leaning toward the Deepkin, which are like sea elves because they're riding sharks and eels, and those look pretty cool. But my weight loss isn't exactly where I want it to be, so I am going to go with those that I see in the mirror every morning, and I'm going with the ogres.
Nice.
There you go.
Paint them all like Shrek.
Well, pretty much. I mean, why not? Donkey.
Donkey.
But for the gameplay front, I'm going to be playing Malifaux at the store on Wednesday. I've got to do some delivery of all of the ninja shopping I've done. And hopefully you and I, when your schedule permits, will get some stuff on the table and we can start getting some things on tape and bringing it to the people. Because that's what we do here at Gaming with the Guys. We bring the people what they love. And we're here for you. And if you're not liking and you're not subscribing and you've made it all the way to the end of this show, you know what? There should be a giveaway. I should find something to give away.
We'll work that in for the next thing. We'll work that in soon. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, have you made it this far? You probably should subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. We are on the hunt. I've given myself. I've told everybody I would like to get us to 1,000 by the end of the year. It is a steep. I sound like a PBS, fund drive.
You better give away a tote bag if you're going to do this.
I don't have a tote bag or a coffee tumbler yet. I'm working on that too. Hell, I'm trying to get us a logo for the channel.
And an intro video where they sing "In the Arms of an Angel." Your donation today can help a gamer in need to buy his plastic crack.
The arms of a gamer.
Oh, you're giving me a horrible idea.
Plastic.
Hey,
Yeah,
Greg,
you use
gather yourself. We're filming something. I got this.
Oh no, this is gonna be ugly. All right, so if you haven't done so already, and before this before this train wreck of a promo to get us more subscribers come up, please subscribe. You know, at least you'll be doing it when it was a tasteful request, rather than whatever is going to be coming out shortly. And if you do like what we're doing, whether it's my battle reports or talk video like this, give us that thumbs up. We love that. And hey, you were great at sending us comments on what you'd like to see in battle reports for Bushido, what armies and things you'd like to see. If there's something you'd like us to talk about or investigate further, whether it's topical like why Greg hates GW, or perhaps it's just a product that you'd like to learn more about, throw it in the comments. We'll see what we could drum up with our contacts and see what we could do with that. So, without further ado, gentlemen, you got anything else to add to this?
No, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the support as you've been going forward. It's been great to see us growing this community little by little.
That's it. And please suggest that we talk about why Greg hates GW. It would be a therapeutic experience, very cathartic.
Dr. Dice has only seen me rant once, and it was he loved it. He thought it was a thing of beauty.
We're taking you to a GW rage room, where we're just going to have like old GW figs that you just get smashed with like a sledgehammer.
The old GW figs I like.
I know Grandmaster Cody's reason for hating
them.
GW, or at least 40K, was 3rd edition Gene Stealers, baby. I can rend on 6s and consolidate to the next group and wipe them out.
With that being said, thank you again so much for watching. We do appreciate you. We will be back again soon, hopefully with a battle report or possibly another discussion to help you through your painting. Until that time, have a great day or evening, wherever you may be. Thanks, everybody. So long.